Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel, and in this one we are going to ask and answer one very simple question. Can Pantheon still jungle in Season 13? We have Spear Shot on Pantheon, or Spear Shot on Spear Shot if you will, or if you mortal will. Man, the references are just flying off today. PTA room page, cosmic booty, standard stuff. Now the question always was, can he survive the early game, get into the mid and the late game, and still be relevant? Now, the shift where they gave him that armor penetration on his ultimate here, which we don't get access to until we get level 6 upgraded, obviously, that's huge, because that scales up to 10, 20, 30% as you get into, level 11, level 16. But could the champion maintain parity with meta junglers, keep his ganking tempo strong, while keeping his farming tempo reasonable, because you want to be able to keep up with the farming meta junglers as well as the ganking meta junglers. If you gank too heavily with a zero fallback, you're just going to be outscaled. So that's not what we want, and that's what we will avoid, because that's what Pantheon desires. Now, at this particular moment, you're probably thinking, Red Raptor's Gromp is the way to go. And that is that has been the way we've been going. But look at this. We've gone Blue Gromp Wolves. We're getting a little bit 230 cross. Viego's doing a 222 cross. Nidalee as well. They're healthier, they're more potent, they're more ready to go. Could we full clear and just kind of stack our treats down to 20? Yes, we could keep that scaling going. Could you rush a Tiamat? You could, but obviously Serrated Dirk and being a more damage doer ganker is going to be the desire here, not an AFK farmer. But you can, in the modern days, actually 5-camp and look to go gank this, look to go gank this, look to go down and gank this. And if there's really nothing available, you can actually full clear. And that's the biggest thing about these sorts of junglers in the new meta. You can do that. And you can do that without worrying too much about it, but the HP here, and you're thinking, well, man, Virkayu, you're lying, you're bullshitting me, look at this, and I'm gonna go, yeah, but doesn't Silas do exactly the same damn thing, and that's the best jungler in the entire game? Exactly. It's not necessarily about the HP, it's about the clear you adjust to, right, that allows you to then make a play on the map ahead of the enemy jungler's tempo. In this particular regard, we have the Cassante super low and tower very, very strong. Mordekaiser's like, I will defeat you now. Level 3 to level 4, he tanks everything as much as he possibly can before pulling out so that the Pantheon, the spear shot, can actually get the stun and get the kill there. Beautifully done, and that's the kind of shit I want to see. Alright? If the Grave starts topside and you know it and goes bottom side, we shouldn't be invading this. If we don't know and we're kind of curious to find out and we see, okay, nothing up, then we know he's finished, and we see this dive, absolutely free fall back to the top scuttle. So, in the Elises, in the Rek'Sais, as we saw yesterday, as our mid laner dies, in the Silases, could you 5-camp and make this sort of play if you're going equal and opposite, i.e. the enemy jungler's going this way, you're going this way, or you're going this way, they're going this way, so that the PvP nature of your jungle matchup isn't a thing, right? Because if the whole concept was, hey, I'm going to go topside here, or they're going topside, I'm probably not going to 5-camp, because if I'm going to meet them after they've done a 6-camp, they're level 4, I'm level 3. And so you don't want that fight, right? You don't want to fight a Graves or Hecarim here when you're almost dead, and therefore in year 3. So it's a great play to make when you're going opposite. Now we have gone here to go ahead and snack this Krug camp. We have not yet gone back to base. We see the Graves in the mid lane, which allows us to flex here into potential counter jungling. The Graves is most likely going to shove this, look to confirm if this is taken or not. We know it's 100% taken, and in this particular regard should fall back to at least this quadrant before resetting. So Pantheon will have to adjust those things in his brain. Is that what the Graves is going to be doing, or is he actually just going to go back to base, not thinking that the Pantheon has the audacity to go ahead and do this? And so basically, he wards here to protect himself. We're pinging this out. You see, pinging this out just in case the Graves might come looking for this. So the Mordekaiser plays it appropriately. We're going to snack this away. Graves should not come to the top side after basing to sequence down, unless he's seen something that would indicate he should go to the bottom side here. Although it would be really weird for him to go to the bottom side. There we go. But he has the Serrated Dirk. We're pulling this out. We need to leave at this particular stage. We have the Yone rotating over the Pantheon trying to escape. We're going to use our E there to ensure safety of escape. The plant spawns, obviously. Ooh, we're going to go over the wall there into that stun. Well, that was how we say in the business, overzealous. But maybe Mordekaiser can save the day. Can Mordekaiser get some kills? ISO bonk on the Q there. Keep auto-attacking. Nice. Our top laner is now fed. Our mid laner is now fed. Okay, so in the great sacrifices of humanity, I'm going to put this one right up there because what else can you say about this particular play? What I hope you learned is that when you're playing this sort of champion, Silas included, alright, yes, we are never going to match the full clearing tempo of your Graveses and your Hecarims, But if we go equal and opposite or go in different directions, it opens up the map to you. So if you can get an early ward to see where exactly they're starting, that's the kind of stuff I want you to do. So you know where the Rek'Sai or the Graves or whatever's going to be, not the Rek'Sai, but it's good to know where Rek'Sai is in anyway. But the Graves and the Hecarim are going to start so that you can go the other direction or reverse clear down so that your HP from the clear isn't an issue. Should ganking opportunities be ready for you. If they are not ready for you, then you can finish your full clear, go back to base, get some itemization, and now it should be quite quick. So the Graves did what we expected. I kind of thought he might stick it out on the top side quadrant here, to be honest with you, and run it to the Pantheon. The idea of taking the Wolf Camp is fine, although taking the Grunt would have been better, because that's more experience, more gold, and the Graves will come up to there directly, realize it's gone, and then be forced to go down, and then in the meantime, you could have gone back to base or fallen back to your Raptors to deny. Regardless, it happened as it happened, so we're going to go back to base, obviously, against our will, and buy us Red Dope plus some longswords and say, hey, we have a Karma, can you speed me up so I can get my juicy stun and get my engagement on the extra auto attacks there from the Mortal Will proc? We do have the extra damage activated should we need to chuck a spear max range, so that's important, right? The Mortal Will gives you that extra damage on your Q, which is, of course, below 20%. Do I want to say execute? Strike critically strikes. It's one of those like weird spells. It's like a pseudo execute, right? Critically strikes enemies below 20 HP and 20% HP. Now we have the Cannon leaving mid lane, missing Shoryukens, but killing us anyway. This for me is tragedy of the maximum scale. Lano gap, if you will. Bob the electrician from France has decided to shove mid lane and roam to the Pantheon, knowing he's going to fall back to those camps. Now, you can say, well, how would he know that? That's basically based upon the numbers tracking, and I just released a video on the main channel, Numbers of Jungle, will explain all the numbers tracking, and a short summarizing it if you want. He's not going to go ahead and clear this and ward this. We're falling back down to this. The Graves should have, in theory, sequenced down, could be looking to kind of get in our face here and take stuff away, which Pantheon knows is most likely. So in this particular regard, is Graves? Where is Graves, and what is he going to do given my untimely death? If it's, hey, I'm dead, I know he's sequencing down, I saw him here, and he's going to just take my shit and leave because I'm dead, because of the play by the cannon, then I just need to go to the top side here and accept that it's most likely gone. Don't even waste your time going down. Yeah, he could get the dragon, but that's fine because you can get the Herald, and then you can dive this and snowball the hell out of your top lane. And I made a video about this as well, talking about, when you have winning top lanes or winning solo lanes or any winning lane, to be honest with you, and you're struggling in the 1v1 matchup with a jungler, or you're just dying and random things are happening, can you snowball the winning lane to get yourself juicy fed? And that's always what we want to do. Now, we do have the Karthus bot lane here. Well, they died, but that's okay because we are playing Karthus and it's Elo Santos, so that should be a free win as long as we get to the point where we can actually win. Meantime, we need to support this, get objectives, and try and gank the lanes as much as possible. We don't have flash at the moment. The Yona kind of went in a little soon, and Cannon's always a tough one. So in this particular case, I would have preferred to kind of just do our red side quadrant, cut in, have a look, maybe gank afterwards, or like look to use prior to get the Herald, but because we wasted time here and pushed the Graves off, we don't have that luxury, whereas if we didn't worry about pushing him off, we could always just take the top side quadrant, then the Herald pretty free. Yeah, he gets Dragon, but again, that's fine for me, right? Ooh, we're going for the juicy ult because Cannon is disrespecting it. Here we go. That should be nice. We can easily do that into the stun on the Graves again, using the misdirected intent, using one spell this way, using the stun the other direction, especially if you don't need to waste a stun on someone who's guaranteed dead. And then, of course, shove it out if you're low elo. Don't shove this one out, though. That's a neutral wave. That's perfect. We can go ahead now and secure a dragon from this play. As you're noticing, Graves at 76 CS, we're at 52. Granted, both deaths caused us to lose a little bit of tempo. We are also looking to make a lot of hyperactive plays and then fall back to our camps rather than necessarily clear and then look for the ganks, because we're still Pantheon, right? We're still Silas. We're still these kind of champions, but we're good at PvP. So if we can get the right angle of approach, the right gank, the right fight, we'll dominate those things. Okay, we now have, let's see, 2 to 4, 4,000 gold to 4,100. Almost 4,000 gold to just over 4,100. So you're looking at a just under 200 gold swing with the Graves, and you know what? I'm okay with that. The Umbral Glaive and the nature of Graves means it's not exactly perfect, and I would anticipate Graves probably says, I was going to say, why doesn't he just go to the damn Herald? Like, why are we going for this? Like, I know he wins 1v1, right? But obviously we have the E and then we can flash out. Remember, the Mortal Will gives you a bonus movement speed proc, and then the Mortal Will on your W gives you that extra slicey, extra 3 attacks. Is it 3 attacks? keep on, yeah, it is 3 attacks. Good job, Brain. And you can gain the movement speed on the E. So good job. I remembered stuff. You know, when you watch so many champions, it's easy to kind of swap abilities sometimes, or like sometimes I'll just forget that something was reworked when I say it. And it's just like deep brain muscle memory. I don't know why the Graves is wasting his time on this. You know the guy did this, counter ganked you, went down. You know he's taking this. You know he's going to fall back to this or fall back to this before he resets. Just take the Herald, man. Like, why are you going for this kind of play? I know we burned his flash and stuff, but it seems like an over-aggressive play that's not necessary to keep the tempo advantage you have over a jungler that just cannot match your clear speed. Something to think about. There are always pros and cons to jungle pathing, and it's always easy in retrospect to say ha 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 ha, but that's the point of these videos and coaching in general, is to say, look, in this moment, this is the information you had. These are the decisions rated in terms of best play. You have to try and recognize those things in game now and then make the best decision, of course. And with jungle, all 3 decisions could end up being good. I mean, that's results, that's what happens. But there's very typically quite a few different options in jungle that can make things work, you know, and if your reasons and logic and data is sound, then your decision making will usually be good. And there's thankfully not only one way to play the game. We do have a bit of information on the Graves, so we decide to go for this cheeky little invade on the blue. And again, this is just applying a bit of pressure. And when we have no camps to clear at all, and the whole thing is to, you know, get this thing before 14 or to dive this and to finish that off, then a bit of aggressive pressure here to force rotations is great, because Mord is giga stomping. So we can use this prior, or just use the fact that the Cassante is particularly weak to kind of try and get in and steal some camps. If he shows up, he shows up. We can always fall back to things. Now we see him here. I would anticipate he just tries to go for this because base and base, which means we're not even going to flex fighting that. If you're low elo, please don't fight this. Too many times I see people go and fight this. Instead, just say, you know what? Bottom scuttle, basically your cron camp. The Mordekaiser is ganking on the mid lane here. He does go ulting, so we ult nothing, which is a bit unfortunate. We chuck a spear that just misses. Can we get... Oof. That's a little sad. I was kind of hoping we would get something. Graves does take that Herald. He is able to get it. He's just going to go plow this down here now. Remember, you're not going to get the same amount of gold just chucking this out, so it's not always the best play. And I do think there are better plays we could have made, because Graves... You know, yeah, you win 1v1 in the PvP sense because you're Graves, because you get that lead, but I don't understand, like, cross-mapping just to try and kill a Pantheon. Like, it's a Pantheon, right? I mean, sure you can, but it's still a Pantheon. It's not a Zyra jungle. Who's an idiot playing Zyra jungle running around. Can you get closer to the wall? We're just going to jump to the minion, and then we can get the slice and dice and get the kill there, so that's nicely done. Good old-fashioned champions who understand they can use their abilities on minions to gap close. Yeah? Your Warwick and things as well. You can Q a minion to go through it to get to someone if you want to use a Q3E combo, and all you need to do is fear and order them. So, same kind of thing, right? Q through the minion, E them on the other side, auto attack, and they die. Always look for those kinds of things. Now, we go back into our jungle. Wolves, we could go for the Grump, is what we want to go for, but obviously clear vision. The Cassante shows up here. The Mordekaiser is going top lane. Graves actually does end up snacking that full tower, so that's because the wave was good, and he could actually do that because he's Graves, but if you're just going to dump it and leave, don't do that, because less damage in Season 13. Right, we are now finally going to finish our Black Cleaver rush instead of going for the Duskblade rush. Obviously, the HP helps us, the stickiness helps us, the Magic Shred was definitely going to help us against that particular comp. Mostly the Graves, because of True Grit passive, and also Cassante is unholy tanky, and, you know, the stickiness and shred against a hyper-mobile comp, boom, 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 boom. And the haste is always pretty good for extra rotation, so penetration, AD, HP, stickiness, shred, all the good stuff. Obviously, the Duskblade is the item we want to rush because of our kill speed and PvP potential. Mordekaiser has now slapped that down, one level ahead of the cannon. Pressure this is spawning. We have an objective that is rising, and we have a Yone pushing this out as well. So with the 1-3-1 here, with a champion that has a global or semi-global, you could look to just do your blue side and then ult in. But we didn't quite have the pressure to go ahead and take that dragon, because obviously Graves has the angle of approach there, considering he can just sneak over the wall. And Mordekaiser's top side, and no one was matching the Yone. So they chose to go for objective pressure instead of responding to the 1-3-1, which in a game where you're kind of equal, if you're not really losing any towers, like in this case they weren't losing any further towers, it's the right play, right? Because he's here, we can just sneak in, they can't afford to push beyond vision line, although we have good vision. We can kind of stack that up and make that fight. And again, the Cassante is losing the game, right? The Cassante is not in a particularly good situation. So can he go fight the Yone? No. Can he go fight the Cannon? No. So might as well just help my team have numbers advantage so we can at least get an objective. That's a good objective for me. Ocean is very good on Cassandre. And we're actually going to ult the mid lane here. We have people out of position. The W slow and magic shred is great from the Karthus. And then we're going to go ahead and try and, I think, protect him. But the Q just goes through everybody and kills us. I'm trying to make it sound like super complicated, but it isn't. You kind of are in. You make sure you get your W. You can use your E from repositioning. Use the Mortal Wool. Full 5-stack amplification on the E to get repositioning with a 60% movement speed bonus proc. But and then, of course, use your Chucky Spear as necessary. But, yeah, they rotated and killed us. So there's the issue of skirmishing, melee, not super giga efficient farming champion. Graves is up 30 CS at this point. Now we'll just counter jungle his whole side. We've seen him do this. I would anticipate, yep, exactly right. So we're going to have to go to the bottom side here. This is going to be pushing up now. This is crashing a little bit. Mordekaiser's gold amount here. Frostfire into Nash is 8.3 gold. Cassandra is 6.4. Match history is linked below. You can have a look at this. This is a good... It's actually a little bit of a stacked game. Just a little bit of a stacked game. Now, we will go... I think we're going to go Duskblade this particular game. I can't remember the match history. I kind of just looked at the KDAs, the gold amounts, and saw what can we do to win this game. We're actually behind now. And you're seeing the downside of the Pantheon. It's the same as the downside to the Silas, except the Silas has obscene AP scalings on that Night Harvester, right? That champion plus that item just means that so few can actually handle the PvP sense, even if you're a little bit behind. As long as you create some sort of parity with the rest of the map and the enemy jungler, you're good to go. Pantheon doesn't have that same issue, and of course scaling is always a problem. Can we get over the wall here? Bring him close to the wall, please. I want to W over the wall. No one's allowing him to do so. So he leaves. We will need to try and get the next objective, but again, we do have Karthus, we do have Yona, we do have a Karma here. And we have a Pantheon who's going to go for a bit more of that, hey, look, can I stun? Can I bait? Can I take spells? Can I rotate from a camp and get to a situation where they don't expect me to? He has a lot of utility in this particular game, you know, especially when you've got a Yona and Karthus. Just make sure you're getting those stuns and using your E appropriately. Okay, we're going to alter the bottom lane here. The Cassandre is fighting the Mordekaiser 1v1. Can we get onto him? Or can we kill him if we do? Because they're shadowing from the mid lane. Here they come. No, they don't. So there we go, trying to force a play. The Cassandra is just going to dance and just going to shove down mid lane here. Yone splitting to the top lane. Caitlyn, is this where you want to be? Can Yone do something about it? Let's have a look. We're going to ult into a shield, which again, Caitlyn, good champion, everyone enjoys. No, this is perhaps not the situation we want to be in. In the meantime, mid is pushed in. Of course, we're losing that turret. Yeah, so it's the Yone who didn't want to be in this position, although he still almost turns it. Good rotation flex after pushing mid lane from the blue team. They can fall back to the second Herald, obviously. The Caitlyn is dead to the Karthus, of course, outplayed with the skill button. TB committed by the Cassandra here to get into this fight. He's going to try and get a Q3 as much as he can. He ults into nothing. The Pantheon repositions again, using the W, now dies anyway because Lux ultimate. And we have the Karma repositioning, and the Cassandra is, yeah, that's a good TB. There we go. Mordekaiser's like, bros, I'm splitting. Don't worry about me. I got this. They will lose this, though. But they will get Baron from it, no? Like, that's a straight-up free Baron play, I think. So what his job here as Mordekaiser is to kind of just push as much as possible, get as much as possible. Hopefully we can let them have that Baron, and we'll sneak on and take the dragon. Let's have a look. This should be free, yep. Cassandra shows up, see, top laners. If you win your lane and turbo stomp your lane, you've got to be able to use it to create a lot of pressure and still be able to win 1v1, which hopefully in this particular case we can, which is good. And even if we're going to lose these sorts of things, if you don't have TB for it, create pressure such that they have to respect it. So in this particular case, this fight, I mean, this is caused by the Yone over splitting, not paying attention to the fact that they're shoving the hell out of mid lane, and of course Spear Shot's ult in the bottom lane to try kill the Cassandra wasn't necessarily the best play, but we tried. We tried. The limiting the reaction time for Pantheon's ultimate is kind of the thing. You want it to be in a sweet spot, right? If the reaction window is too short, then it's really frustrating for people against Pantheon because it's like, well, he flies out of nowhere and now I'm dead. And if you make the reaction time too big, then it's like, oh, I see him coming, I can reposition. But we've seen good and bad examples of that in this particular game. Nice little snack there. Make sure you always have your smite for this. Moss Stomp is the way, by the way, because you want to scale and go in. We will have penetration. Oof. I mean, what do we have? 7.6 to 9.0. this is a problem, man. Like, if you die unnecessarily once or twice on a champion like this, you're not gonna have any forgiveness against high elo Graves and any meta champion. They will just take your stuff, run at you, take your stuff, prevent you from getting any sort of econ, and then you just feel like a stun bot, you know, and that does suck. So if you can get a little bit of Silas mentality, we're gonna ult here into this bush. We have a mispositioned Lux. We're going to go into the backline of the Lux here. Let's just kill the Lux, because she's the one doing a lot of damage here. We're using our Giga spikes over time to make sure we get the kill, use the Q to finish her off. And that's a good thing, right? We've adjusted our game style. Stop focusing the front line, dive the back line, kill the Lux. Misposition because Caitlyn's not there, because now it's bot lane. Get a pick. That's all you can do here. Can we go into his jungle and take some stuff? Can we stay, or did they see us? Hello, we're going to go over the wall there. We're using our smite as well for a slow, because we're going to need that. Karma. There we go. Remember, you get that bonus damage 20% when you hold it on the Q, but if you don't need it, you get the same base damage, right? 337, so just tap it and you'll get the kill, especially on like a super low HP target. I see people trying to hold it too long when they could just tap it and get that actual kill. So it's always a bit of a, you know, can I or do I or should I? But Pantheon things. Baron is still up. We have the Caitlyn pushing this out. A lot of good vision here to protect our jungle. Not a lot of vision here, so we will have to be cautious about that. Mordekaiser is basing here. See, this is what we do. People not in position, getting kills. All right, I'm going to push a little bit. Once the map goes dark, team goes base. I don't want to extend too far beyond vision line. I know they're going to be up and rotating. Back to base I go. That's exactly what we want to do. So if you're a good top laner and you've destroyed your guy in lane and your jungle's helped you, this is how we would play this particular case, because again, we want to scale a little bit, and the Pantheon's not going to have the most fun, but I think that's important. If you get a lot of shit going early as a Pantheon, you can steamroll a game still. You gank, you fight, you win, end of story. But if you don't, that's when it feels so bad that you just cannot play the champion, because you just feel like you're stun bot, you're getting no econ. But here we've still gone for the Duskblade. We're going to, I think, we need to try and kill the Lux and the Caitlyn on the back line there, rather than deal with the rest, because I feel like as a team, we can deal with the rest. Like Karthus and Karma should be able to kite back onto the Kennen, and in that regard, the Kennen overcommits, and the Yone and the Karma commit the killings. And we're actually ulting the mid lane here. Can we get a kill? Nobody saw that, right? We're just flashing to get closer to the crab, which is a free scuttle camp, and of course the Graves is dead, and the rat is dead, because Yone is a champion that exists, and he is starting to get a little bit strong. So here we need to now, we could always push this out a little bit, but the problem is you got to track Barons and Dragon Timers just to make sure you're shadowing your team. The ult here is the saving grace for this champion, because normally what we want to do in this case, if our team is mid lane, get the stun there. We do get stunned ourselves. Watch the Q3. Nicely done. Chucking a max spear. Want to get that. Extra damage. So, in this particular situation, what we're looking to do here is go outside in, right? If you're leaving the base, Grub, Wolves, join your team. Krugs, Raptors, join your team. You don't want to go Raptors, Krugs outside. Wait, there's a whole fight happening while I'm discussing theory. Anyway, if you can be with your team, be with your team. But with Pantheon, you can always ult in from those particular mid-game rotations, as we always say. We do not have our flash now because we lost that one. We have the Graves going in here. He's going to get hooked and we're going to get that stunning. Make sure we kill him off, which we do with the Pantheon and the Mordekaiser. Now dive the backline. That's a lot of damage with your Duskblade and Black Cleaver. As I said, keep the backline busy. We did hit that Q onto the Lux, which killed her, and our team can deal with the rest of those divey boys in the backside. So Graves gets overzealous. We hit the stun. We make sure we kill him as a team. The rest of their team still tries to dive and kill our Karthus, deal with our Karma, try and kill the Yone, and of course, they did die, but we focused on the backline, made sure we killed the Lux and pushed out the Caitlyn and the Lux from sitting down doing free DPS. Now we're just going to go straight in and int because, you know what, why not? Okay, now we will respawn, and remember, the Baron is about to go up, a little bit of a replay glitch. We do have the ult to get back into this fight quickly, so if we have numbers advantage that we can use, Lux stuns us, a bit of a deja vu ARAM fight here, but we're going to go and look at all that damage on the Graves just by herself, just by getting that stun there. The Cansante tries to peel, get in front, gets a triple Q3, which is great, but he's a bit out of position thanks to the Pantheon pushing everyone back. Now the Mordekaiser is just going to ult the Graves. If we can kill the Graves here, which we should be able to do, Juicy Fresh, disengage, peel, that's a free Baron. So, the utility of Pantheon isn't always necessarily just in that damage that we bring to dive backlines, but if you're in a more equal game state, look at this. Most champions or junglers aren't even getting to this. But if you see we have this advantage, someone's a bit out of position, the fact that you can jump in here, do damage, scale better because your penetration and your itemization, push him out and do all of that damage, forcing the tank to get into peel, and then he's detached from his team. Like, that's all made because of Pantheon, right? Yone goes back line there. He comes way back in. You've got to watch the Baron and keep your smite when there's a Lux in the enemy team, but hey, why do that when we have a Karthus who can do all the good work? The Cassandra, again, way too deep for a tank here. The W Magic Shred is really, really nice. The W Magic Shred from Karthus, the penetration from, what's his name, Pantheon, plus the crit from Yone, it's like this nice Cassante shredding combination we have. And if he does decide to build more HP, or some HP at all, we have Leandries, right? So it's, I mean, that's how you deal with it. But again, tanks, you're just looking at it. If you go too far in, and you're detached from your team that's spacing, you're screwed. You have to be so disciplined with your spacing, and also saving people. Like, if Graves dies because he's out of position, Graves dies. You know, don't die also, or compromise the rest of your team fight because of it. They will take the dress, so inverse, right? They get Baron, we get Dragon. We get Baron, they get Dragon. But that's a huge gold swing for us, a lot of shutdown. Okay, always go back to base, somewhere safe. Always respect base. Again, this Mordekaiser, I've loved this Mordekaiser split pressure. I hope you've been watching how he pushes up things and then bases in particular moments when he sees the enemy rotating. He's just staring at the minimap. Pushing, controlling the minions, alright, okay, bounce. You know, oh, everyone's here, 4 people here, 5 people here, nothing I can do. Okay, push towers. It's not a difficult concept, but he's done a very good job, honestly. And the pressure release that he's created for his team has been huge. And then obviously the Pantheon can control his quadrants and ult into scenarios as necessary. 190 to 215, I think is perfect. If you're pushing waves and getting whatever camps you can and then ulting into fights, getting kills and pushing waves again, you're gonna be within touching distance CS-wise, and we're ahead in levels. So this is perfect, right? You're gonna definitely be more focused on the PvP, but if your fighting mechanics are good and your atomization is good, you'll always be in a good spot. The Edge of Night here, again, more lethality, more penetration, and spell shield. And against that comp, bit of spell shield, also more HP, right? We're gonna ult here, we see people, we're pinging, the Grave shows up, he's out of position. Can we try and get a kill here? But it is Graves, the Caitlyn's moving in here, the Karma's rotating over, we're gonna get the flash stun. That's a lot of damage. Chucking a max range Q spear there, not doing that much. Cassante comes in again to peel. He does group us in with his W. He's got the Q3 active. We've got to be careful. The Panther going to the back line and then respacing again. Very nicely done. Almost like he had phase rush, but he's just using the map. And again, Cassante is split. Dead. Beautiful. Beautiful. Out of position, ult in, make a play. Flash, get the stun. Use your E appropriately. That Edge of Night coming in absolutely huge. Force the detachment of the tank from his team by diving further into the back line using the champion's abilities. I say that generalistically because that's what all fighters need to do. Disruption, disruption, disruption. Cause bad spacing for the enemy team. And obviously if you have enough damage to kill the backline, do so. Or do enough so that your team can finish it off. That was good. All 3 fights. This one, the second one, and this right here was Spear Shot carrying. Spear Shot led the stun, led the target focus, and forced the Caitlyn and Lux to not be able to do free damage. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. There's a lot of tanky principles within fighters, especially ones that don't have super giga high econ, but as you can see, 13 grand now. We have more than mid, we have more than ADC. He has been the guy that's involved in the kills. He has the kill participation. You'll see he does the most damage in the end of the game. You'll see in the match history, he has highest kill participation. His early mid-game small deficit to the Graves is expected. Ganking and fighting is higher risk, right? We didn't have the opportunity to really dominate in that same regard, but when it came to the mid-game and the late-game team fights, he made the plays, he was ever present, and from this they take objectives. Now the Yone is splitting on the bot side saying, Cassante, can you beat me? And it's like, no. Karma says, can I help anyway? And Yone says, okay, I guess so, free assist. He's taking our Krug's atomization spike. That man's played, ooh. You guys looking at this Mordekaiser build? This is a difficult boy to kill. So where you were watching the Mordekaiser, don't watch the Yone. I think, is the lesson from this. Don't watch the Yone. Because the Yone is just splitting and dying, and Mordekaiser is taking Krug's basing, the Pantheon's falling back to his camps. There's no real reason for you to overpush that. We fast forward a little bit, because obviously nothing really happened. We're going to go ahead and ult in after finishing off our Blade of the Ruined King, which is a really interesting atomization choice. But hey, if we dive in the back line, you might as well do some damage, although I'm not sure I'm fully on board with the nature of that item. I mean, it does less damage against a particular comp, but it's still pretty damn good overall. I mean, there you go. I mean, for me, I mean, he's a Pantheon savant. He's obviously understanding these things better in terms of Pantheon, but in terms of raw itemization, I don't think you need to go that, man. Like, I don't think that's necessarily what we want to focus on because, you know, they don't have that much HP, obviously, but at the same time, You're very, very squishy as it is. So the itemization up to that point was pretty damn good. Now they're chasing the Cassandra. Their C team is super strong though. So you could afford just to go a bit more. You could just go GA. Like, the randomness of the fights could be you dying. Just going GA there is absolutely perfect. Because you can live, turn, kill, push up, rotate, take, push up, full back, right? Set up for the Baron, or force the Baron's up, so don't do that, go for the Baron. So it does allow you a bit more, you know, flex room there. I thought the replay froze, like it did earlier. But the Graves has said, you know what? I suck. Well, you know what, the Graves, you could also go Cyrilus, to be honest with you. The Graves, you know, is, I mean, it is current physical damage, but again, that's a percentage, right? So, also worth noting that it does help in that regard, but, right, I guess he's trolling. I guess he's accepted his fate. Outplayed, outjungled. This pathing wasn't really the best. But again, while Blade of the Rune King is good against anything, it's still better against people who have HP. At least classically, it always has been. Always has been. Right, Baron is up. Graves has given up. I mean, he's 1-9-6 at this point. I don't know what else to say. I pointed out where he mismatched his pathing. He had decent tempo advantage over the Pantheon. He just didn't really do anything with it. We're ulting the backline here to make sure we kill the Caitlyn. That's absolutely perfect. And now the Blade of the Rune King does its work. Q over the wall if we need to. Alright then. Looks like, my friends, a long and arduous journey to victory has been reached. The Blade of the Rune King has now done its work. Obviously, we had a lot of damage. Pros and cons for the ganking style. Pros and cons for the Silas style, for sure. But as you can see, as long as you understand your team fighting in the middle of the late game, whether you're equal, low, or high econ, you will find success. As long as you itemize appropriately to that, and know who your targets are, and know when to target swap, you will win these games. You will have the high kill participation. Cassandra has given up. Their Nexus is about to fall. Graves, I mean, I'm disappointed because, again, you had opportunities to really destroy Pantheon given the nature of the deaths, but he chose not to. He chose greed. And for this, he loses. And for team fighting and knowledge supreme of his champion, Pantheon wins. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and learned something. Live companion guides in the description below. My cat is hungry. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial. And to start off for Season 13, I will be hosting another bootcamp with Coach Kybert for laners and junglers and for every single role. Topics on your screen now starts end of January 30th. Basically, we're going to be covering everything in this video in depth related to you, giving you some active examples, some drills, everything to make you a better League of Legends player as a whole, all through a really in-depth 2-week bootcamp from January 30th onward. And additionally, I will be raffling off a $400 coaching package to a lucky winner who subscribes in the first 100 tickets, which means a further 4 hours of coaching directly with me, all free for you after the bootcamp is finished. And overall, the bootcamp is just chocked full of absolute free coaching, free VOD reviews, Q&As. We have 10 different sessions for you from myself and Coach Kybert. We have other challenger coaches on call. Essentially, you're looking at something like 30 coaching sessions for the price of 1, all within a community hosted by Gosu Academy. So click the link in the description below, sign up, join the Discord, and I will see you all there to learn everything you need to know about Season 13 jungling and laning so that you can climb to your ranked goals and beyond.